It's 5:35, and I will take nominations for a chair.
I second it.
Second. Okay, any other nominations? Okay, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, turn it over to Mark.
Thank you, sort of. Thanks. We have had a vice chair for the last couple of years. It's not a necessary position, but do I have a nomination for someone to take a vice chair position?
I nominate Eric Beal.
Do I have a second? Let's say it out loud. This is.
Second, I'm sorry, yes.
Do I have any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Clerk, I am going to nominate Jeff. This is a position that has a lot to do with bill paying and signatures and dealing with the office, but it's a good way to get into seeing the backside of what goes on at the school. So if you're willing to do that, I'd nominate you.
Yes, I've had some early discussion with Susan about this, so
Okay.
I have some sense of what this is about, so
Okay.
that'll be fine.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, now comes the really difficult part, putting people on committees. So we require 3 board reps to the CSSU school board. I am one of those, so we need 2 more folks. Eric, do you want to keep doing it?
Sure.
The enthusiasm is. Anybody else want to do it? So this is the board that sits at the CSSU level, at the district level, and they deal sort of with the stuff from central office. It's another board meeting. It happens on the same night. You see a lot of the same issues, but also because of what comes out of that office, the budget is different and that sort of thing.
I'll do it if nobody else wants to do it, but
Good.
it was a good thing to do that one year. And if you can come to some of those meetings sometimes,
Yeah.
there is a lot.
I'm not opposed to doing it, but I just don't know as someone who's just
You'll have a
coming onto
chance.
the board whether or not it makes sense with my knowledge base at this point to do this or not.
So, and as you go along through this year, they do things at the CSSU board called Common Topics. It's a good learning opportunity. You can see what goes on, and we can continue from there. Another committee is the Policy Committee. Our rep has been Clyde. Are you willing to keep doing that, Clyde?
Sure.
Do you have to vote on appointments too? It's really kind of squishy.
Well, actually, you can appoint, so.
I will. I won't. Susan, do you go to all the PTO meetings?
Yeah, so I'll
Do you do
them,
the
yeah,
PTO?
yeah.
So Susan,
And the technology.
has that ever met?
No,
All right, so you're
that's
still
my
on.
favorite committee.
All right. There is a facility committee. This is the building. When we did the bond for the roofs and that sort of thing, it formulated that committee. Barbara is on the committee with Dave from the school maintenance department. And some community member and our architect get together about once a month. Well, not that often, once every other month or so, to talk about needs at the school. Is that something you're interested in seeing in the back end? You don't have to do any of this.
No.
It's
These are needs. No, if that's needed.
yeah. I'm
I
getting
will
back
do
to
it.
that because I know that's and finally a negotiations committee. So
Which Cindy actually said today that because we haven't started anything yet, you can wait on that because you would be nominating someone and not knowing what the schedule is or anything like that. So you may want to wait until they've
yeah, because
organized.
that's not going to kick up for another.
Until the fall.
I've got a question though, Megan.
Yep.
Last time, by the time that committee was formed and had a chance to talk, decisions had already been made. by Cindy and other people in terms of ground rules. So it might be prudent to have a representative from this board and other boards at that stage before the ground rules are set.
So I'm writing the name Eric Beal, and I'll be your backup.
Okay.
All right. We can do that together. Is anybody want to do something that they didn't get or otherwise? Okay. So, did you get all that?
Yeah, my one, it's Susan, you're the third SU rep?
Yes,
Okay.
unless,
Okay.
it's
Oh no, you can't get out of that.
something we can,
Perfect. Great.
That actually went pretty smooth. Thank you, everyone. So maybe I should say first off, welcome to the board, Jeff Martin.
Thank you.
New member of the board, and welcome back everybody else after the election and the reorganization. So let's move on. Adjustments to the agenda, anyone? I look pretty straightforward. Audience and communications, this is sort of a chance to speak about something that maybe is not on the agenda. There'll be other time to talk about what's actually on the agenda. If you have anything, we actually have an audience, so it's actually kind of fun. We'll move right into presentations. We have a presentation this evening on co-curricular activities around the school. So I will turn it over.
So we have some guests here
Awesome.
to present on a specific area of our co-curriculars, student leadership. And Kathy Batty and Mary Morosky are the teacher faculty who are supporting the students around student leadership.
Do you want me to get the link?
Yeah, we just have a couple slides to show.
Do you want to introduce yourselves as well?
I'm Kathy Betty, I'm the 5-8 school counselor. And I'm Mary Morosky, and I teach 5th grade at Charlotte. I'm Ethan Lyle, I'm a 7th grader.
And I'm Finnegan Middleset, and I'm a 6th grader.
And these two students are representatives of our Student Leadership Council and Junior Leadership Council.
So to clarify, there are two.
Yeah. So we're hoping today you'll get a little bit more familiarity around our leadership councils and what we do and how we give back to our community. So just so everyone knows, we've had a student leadership council for probably decades, since before I got there, for sure. And it has been an organization of students, representatives of, and historically of just 7th and 8th grades, representatives from each of the support rooms, and it's a group of students that works with teachers and with administrative support on initiatives that are going to help grow school climate or give student voice, and in the long run give back to the community. This year, for the first time, we've started a 5-6 leadership council, which Mary and I co-facilitate.
Right, we just thought there was a need to expand the leadership role in the school. The kids always feel as if they are in middle school when they come up to the 5th grade, and it's kind of a nice stepping stone going into 7th and 8th grade.
It's been really amazing to see how the two groups work together, and to also see how much more we can get done in the Student Leadership Council with the support of the Junior Leadership Council. So it's been, I think it's something we'll continue for a long time.
I think it's really what it's done across the school is increase that inter-class collaboration between not only 5th and 6th grade, but also now right down to our EEE program and in the community outreach.
Which has been a big piece you'll see about what the Junior Leadership Council does. It's a huge amount of it is the community service piece. So one of the first things we worked on this year is this idea of an illustration of our school climate. This bulletin board is actually something that the Student Leadership Council, and with help with the Junior Leadership Council, created. And I just wanted to put it up there as a way to show that Student Leadership Council or student leadership within our school kind of infiltrates everywhere. So different pieces of the tree and the tree branches, really it's rooted in this idea of student leadership, of community service, giving back, and creating this positive climate and opportunities for our students. So, Ethan, are you going to talk to us about Student Leadership Council?
Yeah. So, I joined Student Leadership Council in 6th grade, at the start of 6th grade, when there wasn't a junior student leadership council yet. And I joined because I wanted to know how the school works and what I can do to like help the gears tick and how to make things work more. I also wanted to know how the teachers get into the learning besides the learning part, besides like the teaching the social studies and science. So usually meetings are, besides from like the occasional talking, like we're not supposed to talk, we get a lot of stuff done usually, and usually split into co-committees that handle 2 or 3 different things at a time. So that's pretty fun, because usually there's 2 or 3 kids in each co-committee, and we get to know each other as well as get things done. And occasionally there are more fun things or opportunities that we get to do. Like me and a couple other student leadership kids got to go to UVM for a field trip, and we learned about like anti-bullying and other stuff. That was a great experience because I was a part of Student Leadership Council, and I think that it's a really good experience for me. So it was a little ways into the school year when we got the paper to join Junior Leadership Council. So I wanted to join Junior Leadership Council because I think it would give me more opportunities as a Charlotte Central School student, and also more chances to meet people in 5th grade that I didn't know very well. The way the meetings really work is we eat our lunch, then we separate into subgroups and discuss and complete the assignments that we are given that are related to fundraising, media at the school events, announcements, and a lot more. One of the experiences I got to go through was go down to town meeting day and be a microphone runner. And I got to hear some ideas that I really connected with. I connected to the one where to make Spear Street safer for cyclists and runners, because I live on Spear Street and I can see how fast the cars drive. And it was really interesting to see how the topic expanded to make like all the busy roads safer for the runners and cyclists. Being part of the Junior Leadership Council has definitely given me an opportunity to play a bigger role in my school and in my community.
And having Finnegan speak tonight also is reminding me, if people are reading our newsletters, you were also highlighted in the Kids Corner last week, I believe, right? So there's also one of the things that came out of everything that's on that list, out of Junior Leadership Council, is now we have weekly student spotlights in the newsletter. So students write a little article, take some pictures, and she talked about being a microphone runner in the newsletter. And also, Mary's coordinating an effort to get students on the announcements every day.
Right, so if you're in Charlotte Central School in the morning, now students are doing the morning announcements every day. So the kids are just taking more ownership in the school community. They're doing community service at the Charlotte Children's Center, Charlotte Food Shelf, Meals on Wheels. They're really out and about in the community a lot this year, and the kids are loving the opportunity. You know, we had to, there was only a certain number of slots, so then we rotated kids through the activities, so they're really loving it.
Last bit is that is a big piece of what we're doing, is trying to give back to our community, and kids have mentioned fundraising. In the past, so we do some fundraising, there are some opportunities for Student Leadership Council to fundraising. We used to have a school store, we don't do that anymore. But we have raised money to do things like the Foursquare Court and the hopscotch out back. That was painted by Student Leadership Council a couple years ago. Champ costume, that mascot costume was purchased through Student Leadership Council. And this year we've had one movie night, planning to have a second, and we're raising money toward creating some sort of student lounge in that annex that's off of the cafeteria. So So creating a space for students to come together as an alternative site for lunch or recess. That's it.
That was great, thank you.
Thank you for
Thank you, Ethan, that was really great. Thank you. Being a microphone runner at town meeting day this year was extremely important from what I saw. So that was great.
So thank you all for coming and sharing about student leadership. There are a few other things that I'm going to share, and these things, I believe you gave me some input saying you've heard about some of these things, kind of just give a quick update on these other things like athletics. So pretty much I have literally just a few sentences that I want to share on that. Despite falling enrollments in our school, athletics at CCS continues to thrive. We had 154 participants that took part in our fall and winter sports this year. That's out of an eligible pool of about 175. So that's in excess of 80% participation. That's really great. A little side note that I think you've been aware of, lacrosse continues to eat away at our numbers for baseball. So we just had literally a couple of students that wanted to do baseball, so we combined with Heinsberg for this year's season, and that was something that we knew about to plan as we planned for next year. Additionally, you may not know that Robin Davis has volunteered her time to run intramural volleyball for middle level students during their lunch and recess. And she's been doing this throughout the winter, and she will continue it through the spring. And she even has them participating in March Madness middle school volleyball season with other schools. So that's something that's growing. Another area that I just want to touch on is the theater arts. That this year, as last year, it is under the direction of CCS alumnus Ben Recchia, musical director Carl Recchia, and Mary Recchia. And they've been practicing for Seussical, and as you know, that is underway. And the GeoBid, that is open to any students in grades 5 through 8. And in December, we had 42 participants enter the preliminary rounds for the National Geography Bee. And with 10 finalists from grades 5 through 8 competing in our school round, and we even had our own person who was a champion qualified to compete in the state level competition. So things are going strong. I believe we also have a guest to speak about yearbook.
Hi, I'm Karen Lundy. I'm a parent of an 8th grader and also the yearbook advisor for this second year in a row. And I'll just briefly touch on some of the things. I have some talking points. If anybody wants a copy of this, they can have that. But we've got the work happening right now. Deadline is coming up the 4th of April. We have to go to the printer. So a lot of work happening. I've got 6 girls who are 8th graders who are working with me and are doing a fabulous job. Last year, we created a book, and it's a 68-page softcover book with lots of colors, and it's middle school, so it's 5th through 8th graders, but it features the graduating class, so they're in there a lot more. But everything from music and the portraits, staff, pages, baby pages, things going on around school. So this was last year's. We'll be seeing the new year one in June when I get to distribute those. Sales are happening right now. We're lagging a little bit behind in the sales, but I think when we get closer to the end, then that's when things start to rally, so we're doing okay. Our goal last year was to sell 140 books. We sold actual sales of 138. We did well. Only a couple left over. This year our goal, we reduced that to 130 and kept the price the same. It's $30 for a yearbook, which is pretty steep for a lot of people. They think, oh, $30 for this, but it's memories, you know, you're paying to get the memories. We were able to keep it at 30. Our goal is 130, and so far we've sold 106, although 4 of those are duplicate orders. People who ordered earlier, they don't remember, and so we've got to figure that out. Right now, I guess the great thing about working with the students is that they learn a lot of different tools: time management, planning, completing tasks, working in groups, attention to detail. There's a whole teamwork thing going on. The dynamics are interesting. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We meet twice a week. depends on my other work schedule, but sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, depending on what projects we're working on at the time. But they're doing everything from photography to layout, design, marketing, and sales. And right now, the editing and proofing is the big part of that. And I also want to thank Mary Morosky and her media crew, because when I can't get my yearbook girls to go out and take pictures, they stepped up to the plate. So it's nice to get, it's open to all middle school students. We've always, I don't know, the 2 years I've been doing it, it's only 8th graders. It's only 8th grade girls that get involved. I want to get the boys involved, but they won't give up their recess. So I think looking at next year, I'm not sure if I'm going to do it. It all depends on my other work schedule, which has a lot of things happening. But I'd be happy to hand it off to someone else and show them how to do it. But we have to think, with the declining enrollment and our sales not quite as good as we don't make money on this. It's basically just a break-even thing. Years past, they've had lots of leftovers, and Martha, the bookkeeper, said we got to make sure we sell them. So we've been doing okay. Last year was good. This year we're looking pretty good. But I worry about if the sales don't pick up and we have fewer students, what's going to happen? Because that will mean the book will be more expensive and there'll be fewer buyers. So I'm talking to the Jostens Company, who've been wonderful. There's the possibility of going from a 68-page book to a 40-page book, and maybe that would be an option. Try to get the kids involved. Basically, just trying to get the sales now and communicating to everybody about that. The only other issues that we need to improve is communication with parents, 8th grade parents. Sometimes it's really hard. We do everything from paper, emails, newsletter, Omega bulletins, all that, and I haven't figured out which. We kind of have to tackle many, many ways to get them to do things for us, like sending in pictures and stuff like that. But that's fine, we can work through that. Other than that, and I'd like to just, if I do continue this, connect with some more middle school yearbook advisors just to share some ideas, especially in CCSU, because I know the other schools do it, but just I'm connected to see. Maybe we can get some ideas that way. But it's fun. This is my fun job. And it keeps me connected with the school. My son will be graduating, so I won't have any students here, so we'll see what happens.
Thanks for doing it.
Thank you. Enjoy it.
So that's our end of our on that
Well, that's
topic.
good. I appreciate the update on all those things. Thank you to everybody that came and puts in their time, and we do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And I have to order 2 yearbooks for people in my house, so that's 2. So order your yearbooks, everybody out there. Thank you.
No, thank you so much.
6.0, reports to the board. First off is the principal's report. Do you want to highlight for us?
Yes.
Or? Sure.
Okay, so first I wanted to highlight the part that says CCS Families, Hopes and Dreams. So we really genuinely care about family input and believe in reaching out to get it. One of the efforts that will support this belief is holding a Hopes and Dreams night. It's in the works. Date has not been set, but I wanted to let you know, because I might even ask for a little help on that, and where we want to hear the hopes and dreams of our families. What do they hold dear about the school? What hopes and dreams do they hold for their students and for the school? We also want to specifically learn what families hope that their students will have by the end of 8th grade. And this process of learning and input will inform our action planning, as well as our middle level visioning process as we start thinking about how do we want our middle level program to look as a whole. And that is work that we'll be beginning with middle level teaching staff. So it's all we're going to get the information from different places to ensure that we are creating the CCS that everybody wants. The next one that I want to highlight is the CCS service delivery model to meet all students' needs. This is a topic that has been touched on through the budget process. You've heard a little bit about this. So as I said would happen, it is developing. And it has been developing with the input of staff. It's been a true process, a collaborative process. we have identified at the school that we all believe that every child should have his or her needs met. And we're designing a service delivery model that will support this. And we acknowledge that the grounding piece that's going to ground what we use to guide this service delivery model is called the CSSU Guiding Principles for Instruction and Intervention. This is a document based on research that has been worked on by teachers across the SU around what are those guiding pieces that will allow us to meet all students' needs. Two key aspects that are driving almost all the decision making and the focus of where we're going is around collaboration and coherence. Having teachers collaborate together has been proven as one of the most effective ways to help ensure that students are going to get what they need. And coherence around what teachers teach, what that relates to is that there's connections, so that it's not one person teaching something that doesn't relate to something else, that things are coherent, people know what's happening, and there are connections. And that is how the brain works. So we really want what teachers teach to connect, so kids can all get what they need. A piece that we had put into the budget to support this was a staff member who would specialize in differentiation. In other words, the ability to be able to identify what students need and be able to make adaptations, accommodations, and supports for that child. We also talked about that we want to make sure that this person specialized in being able to work with students and teachers around students who are already at proficient and needed to go deeper and go further. So that is in the works of how we're going to use that person. Another piece of this service delivery model is having a time of day in the schedule where students are going to get what they need. In addition to that, the teachers will be better able and have a greater capacity to give students what they need, all kids at all levels. There also would be a time of day where special educators and interventionists, classroom teachers would all be collaborating and meeting to plan, and then have a time also in the day where they will be giving an extra dose for whatever a child needs. And an extra could mean of something that a child needs, that they didn't get it already, it needs to be in a new way, or it could be something that they already have and they need to go deeper and into a deeper way with it. There's more that I'll keep sharing around this, because this is the bulk of the work. Our schedule will reflect this. We had shared that the budget is reflecting this. Again, it's a core belief that we want to meet every student's needs. The last one for this update is just want to point out, you probably already know the early childhood program update. Due to significant enrollment decreases, we are collaborating with Heinsberg for the Charlotte Heinsberg Early Childhood Program, and this will be housed in Heinsberg. And all Charlotte students who qualify for this program will be welcome to go there. Any questions on any of this?
Yeah, on the last item, so will it alternate, like next year Heinsberg, the following year Charlotte, or will it just always, it's hard to predict, but do you think it will flip-flop from town to,
We're not sure.
I think it's going to be dependent on where the kids are. I think that's at this point, the location for the school-based program is where there are more kids.
Mm-hmm.
And as that ebbs and flows, I think that decision would potentially change. I also think that one of the things this opportunity opens up is the chance to have more outreach and embedded services in community-based programs. That's a part of it that we have been wanting to expand. So there may be some kids whose families choose to access their services in their local preschool instead. But certainly possibly, and that's actually why when the group was coming together to plan what this would look like, we really are only planning where the school-based site is year to year, so that we have the flexibility to be able to move it if numbers change.
I have a question about that also in terms of transportation. Is there transportation for kids? Would there be transportation for kids from Charlotte if that was something that a family needs so that they can
Yes.
get their child to Heinsberg?
Yep.
Okay.
That's part of
And does it start at 8 o'clock as well, or does it have a different start time? Or?
Start time hasn't really been hashed out yet. I anticipate though that it's probably pretty similar to the start time because it usually aligns with the K-8 start time, which I think in Heinsberg is the same as Charlotte.
And we will be hosting a play group on site, and that should be quite exciting. It'll be led by a teacher, so we definitely want to have those littlest ones in our building and connect with the families who will be coming through our grades.
Awesome. I had a couple more questions. The service delivery model, is there something in writing? I know that it sounds like this is evolving. And,
It is.
And it's a very active process, but I'm just wondering if at this point in time there's some kind of description.
Other than what I wrote in your packet, no, it is not
Okay.
written yet, and it is evolving literally as we speak. At a staff meeting, which I had just before this, more pieces are turning. It truly is. At the end, I will be able to write something for you once it is more solid. This is a process. This is truly an evolution.
And the timeline for implementation?
It'll be implemented pieces. There's going to be different stages of it. So there will be a stage of it that'll be an implementation for this fall, including that person in that role. In terms of how far, there's going to it'll be over 3 years. There'll be an implementation plan of different stages of it.
I see.
And I do get a lot of questions about the 3-4 loop, the 4th grade, whoever is going to be the what I need teacher. Is that definitely somebody from the 3-4 loop, or is it
Not at all necessarily.
Okay.
No. That it is. Those were not connected things. The fact that we have an extra teacher in the 3-4 loop is not connected at all. That there is this position was able to be funded through that we had took out some paraeducators. So it's two different things.
So the teacher who's leaving the 3-4 loop is not decided yet?
No, configurations are not set yet.
And so we don't know what, I guess people are thinking that there are bumping rights and, there's going to be movement, and so that's an okay assumption to have right now, is that things are going to change in the upper grades, potentially?
There will be configuration changes, yes, and I'll be able to report on that at the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, things are all in process.
Okay.
And really believing that the process, I've spoken to every single teacher to do this process. Literally had a meeting with every single one to listen to them and hear. So that's why it's taking a while, and that's why we're thoughtfully going through the next stages of getting ourselves to a place where everybody will be more than live with it is my goal. More than just saying you can live with the situation. So we have an end goal that will be best for kids, and that every teacher will be maybe even pleased. That's our goal.
Reverend, do you have 2 seconds just to elaborate a little bit on the makerspace?
I was going to ask the same question,
sure.
actually.
So the makerspace it's exciting, it's new, it's evolving. I'm trying to give you a sense of things we're working on versus just waiting till it's complete to tell you. So been working with Heidi in a library and with Ed, and we have done some studies of some great things to have for a makerspace. We've talked about why we would want to have a location in the school with objects and things for children to design, create, explore objects, and to come up with great ideas. There's more that needs to happen. We went through we're up to ordering is what we're up to. And in terms of exactly how we're going to use it, how we're going to get kids in there, how we're going to sell this to the teachers, and that's all to come. But it's really exciting. And we're going to put it almost center of the library with the idea that we want everybody to see it, notice it, and get involved with it.
And is this something that you're able to do on the scale you want to do within the constraints? I mean, I know it's a pretty tight budget.
This year's money
Okay.
is what we're using. You're right, next year. But this year, we're capable of doing it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like something the PTO might support too.
Yes, and then once we're sustaining it, it won't cost the same. Right. But this is exciting for the students and what it's going to spark for the teachers.
Yeah, no, thanks. I mean, between that and the differentiated education and the emphasis on community service, and it's just a lot of positive change in a very short amount of time.
That's why it's all in process and I don't have anything written for you on it.
Okay, any other questions on the principal's report? Anyone? A comment from the audience?
Yes, hi, Monica Marshall. So I'm a little confused. The differentiated position is somebody that's coming to the school. But Susan just asked about the paraeducator or if it's a 3-4, because yes, a lot of parents are really, we're all assuming that you're going to be taking one of the 3-4 teachers and they're going to become the roving para, which was discussed at our budget meetings, which we all listened to and voted on. But now, so I guess my question is, how are we paying for this new position that we didn't hear about during budget talks if it's not going to be somebody that's already in the school that would potentially be able to do it? Because I guess when you said you got the money from the paraeducators,
We removed 2 paras.
we didn't
And so
think, yeah, so we didn't think that was going to happen. Like when you said you were going to remove some paras and you were going to replace those paras with this teacher
Yes.
that was going to be a roving para. So you've reduced more paraeducators for next year? So the differentiate?
I think there's a little misunderstanding. It's not, this person will not be a roving para. This person will
Well, I
be.
know, but
Right.
you said that was discussed, that there was going to be the removal of some paraeducators.
Yes.
That there was going to be somebody from the 3-4 classroom, that grade block was going to become a roving para.
I believe it's complex enough that I understand there'd be confusion. There are 2 different things happening. Yes, there is one teacher that is no longer going to be in the 3-4 that will be somewhere else in the building.
Okay, because you specifically said it was going to be a roving para.
Apologies if there was a misunderstanding.
Okay.
Did
And so now-
clarify?
Wait, you thought the teacher was going to be a roving para?
Yeah.
I don't
And
think that was
that-
ever, yeah, that never got that, Monica. But, hey,
That's
so there are,
a lot of the people that came to the budget meetings and that.
well, there's only 5 or 6, so I will. But
You were talking about
Yes.
the what I need, the win.
the what I need person, yeah.
Was not a roving para.
And there's, I mean, even just in the principal's report, just movement among the teacher ranks. Our 6th grade teacher was on a 1-year contract, and that's
Yes.
up this year. So
Yes.
there's a couple things that are going to change in the staff. Okay. Are you somewhat satisfied? Not satisfied? Would like to be. Okay. Any other questions on the principal's report?
Well, it sounds like there's be a lot more clarity
Yeah,
at the
there'll be.
next meeting.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's in process.
Yeah.
And just
Yeah.
respecting there's little moving pieces, but it will land, and I'll have information.
Okay. If we're okay with that, we're going to move on to discussion matters. 7.1, the professional development calendar. You were all provided a calendar in your materials. There are some changes being discussed for next year around professional development, and I will turn it over to the experts.
So the proposal is to have school end an hour earlier to give more time in a certain location, which is after school, next to staff meeting, and then not having some of the whole days off for PD. So there's a switch. It's instead of believing that the more regular time for teachers to do the work is more bang for our buck. It's going to really make the bigger difference. Specifically, what we're thinking how we would use that time is directly related to this service delivery model, is the idea of having teachers do more responsive teaching, learning how to do that better, being able to sit down together, literally, with student work in front of them, not in isolation, but with special educators, with the interventionists, looking at student work, determining where the student is and what are the teaching moves that need to happen to move every child. Not just the ones who are below, moving them up, but the ones who are even at or above proficiency. That takes time. To be that responsive teacher, it takes some training, and that is what we would be using that time for. And we would be having the 2 hours. 1 hour really does fly for a staff meeting. You really need time to look at the student work and then coming up with the teaching moves. What often happens is teachers get to a place where they learn something new. They don't have the time to do the thinking that is necessary, and the collaboration and the work to make the changes. So they go to PD and it doesn't go they can't apply it. This is direct application time, and it's studying kids' work so they can improve what they're doing. And there will be protocols and a system to do that. And as I mentioned, there will be a full plan on how we're going to give the PD to support them doing that. It's collaboration and coherence. Some of the questions that have come up for some of the other schools that I'm aware of is just questioning about how about the children after school. And we wanted to make certain people are aware that our after-school program will be available, and it will be a high-quality after-school program that will be available. We will be ensuring that, so it's well worth people's time. And for those who do need financial assistance, we will find a way to make it work for them.
So just to put it out on the table, we're talking about an hour early on Wednesdays. Tuesdays.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesdays. That that's an hour every week, and I'm using the words in return. That's not exactly, but in return, we're getting some of the full day professional development days are going.
Four of them will become school days, which is best for kids to have these whole days. Back for them to their learning.
Yeah, just
go.
That. So this is literally not a minute extra of time.
It is extra by
3 hours, I think.
3 hours.
3 hours.
3 hour difference.
In the whole year.
So 3 hour difference. And we believe it's going to make the classrooms more engaging and worth every minute of that. That's what we're going for, is higher levels of engagement for every child, better learning. That it's worth that time.
And from a scheduling standpoint, yeah, I mean you can work around you get all the classes each week that you need.
We'll make it work because it's so important. This is so important to give teachers the time to do what we're going to be asking them to do.
The only question I had was about the day of the week, because I know that sounds kind of odd, but it just seems like there's momentum at the beginning of the week, and then to maybe have the early release later in the week, even Wednesday or Thursday, might be, for the kids, might seem like a nicer break than when they're just starting the week off. And then just seems to me like, for me personally, Tuesday is my most productive day. So it's like, I kind of wonder, for the kids, it's just, get going with your week and then have, I don't know if that day is locked in stone, if it's something that everybody else is doing, but
I don't know if there's flexibility around the days.
This is what I heard about this. 'Cause this really is coming from the principals. There's a design team made up of principals from each of the schools, including the high school. So what I heard about choosing Tuesday was that is the regular faculty meeting day, and so that's when you get the more than 2 hours. Because faculty meeting days the faculty meeting is an hour and a half, and now you've added an hour. Right, so it would be from 2 to 4, right?
They go to 4:15.
Right. So that's why they chose.
But that
Tuesday.
can
But
potentially be
this is
switched.
for discussion tonight.
Yeah.
So if that's, I'm going to write this down.
I
This is
definitely
a
feel
comment
strongly
that's-
that I'd like to look at the day of the week, just as far as learning goes and everything else. It seems like, especially if you have a 3-day weekend and then you come back Tuesday and you're leaving an hour early, with all the sickness that went around in my family, having a little bit, instead of doing a long week, I feel like towards the end of the week it might be nice to leave a little early on a Thursday or Wednesday even. But whatever the research shows, but somebody has to be looking at that somewhere.
I'm going to say this even though I know no one's going to agree with me. But just for the record, I think losing hours and inconveniencing families with a disturbed schedule it strikes me as almost preposterous that we're in a world or in a labor relation that people who want to improve and who want to make steps to delivering a better product and to increase our productivity and be better at what we do can't be bothered to stay an hour after work. So do with that what you want. I know you can't change the contract, but I think that's a disappointment.
I will add that some research that I had learned from an international math guru, Mahesh Sharma specifically, that he travels all over the world and has seen some of the best systems. And the piece that he says makes the difference is the amount of time that teachers have to plan. It is not longer amount of time of children in the school. So there really is research behind that this makes a difference for the kids in the long
No, I'm sure it does. I'm just saying they could do it till 5 o'clock instead of 4 o'clock, and then we'd have a full day at school, and they'd have their full professional development, and everybody come out ahead. But
I have a question about, I'm wondering how the teachers are responding to this proposal. And is there weighing the idea of changing out full day in-service training and moving that to an hour a week? What sort of response are you getting back from teachers about this proposal?
Thrilled. They know how they learn best. 1 hour isn't enough. 2, they can get work done. Whole days, not as productive. They're just too long, so it's not as great for them either for those whole days. They see this need. They need it regular, even when they have 4 days. It's not consistent enough to do responsive teaching. You need it regular. So this would be weekly, able to do this work. You got to keep it going. It's not enough to just come up with something and then it's 3 months before they're going to do that work again for the students. So they're really very strongly in favor.
So, and we talked about the after-school program. Livewire is currently different next year. Excuse me. The other question we'll get is sports programs after school. How practice would work in that type of environment. And yes, we are going to hear from lots of parents that this is a disruption to a schedule in their week. That we need to be able to talk about specifically helping students in the long term. There's something about I know about Tuesday. Tuesday feels weird. That's why I think I slipped into Wednesday. It's a bigger disruption to families that hour, and it's just I think when there's more talk about this next month, I think we're going to have a few more people here to listen. Further questions for anybody?
So is that something we're voting on individually, each school is voting on this? Or is it something that's sort of a CSSU?
No, I think everybody has to vote on
It would be voted on at the local and the SU.
Because we all feed into CVU, so
Yeah.
if other schools don't support it, then.
Right, I think part of tonight is to gather the input and sort of get the pulse of where folks are. We would then have to regroup, or if in April the decision wasn't unanimous, I think there would need to be a discussion logistically about what that would, or should look like. So kind of to be determined. As of right now, it is hard to figure out how to organize professional development when some schools have full days to organize and some schools have hours. So that is what the principals will end up needing to come back to the table around if that's where it ends up.
So do you need to know where we all stand? Or,
I mean, it's really, I mean, there's good feedback, good questions that are being asked. That's what that's what people will kind of digest, and then you'll kind of act in April.
You referred to cost, and that you would make this work for people who have difficulty with that. Can you expand on what that means?
No, just that we will find a way. We haven't gotten there yet. We did speak to the director of the alternative program that we're considering, and he said we will find a way. So I don't have the answer of how, but
Is this a wealthy person who made that comment?
there's some systems already in place to be able to have financial assistance. It's already in place in the program. So it's already pretty much in the system already. So that would just include also for that hour as well.
Meanwhile, Eric, you begin to see some of the difficulties arising from having locked yourself into a uniform school day. Thank you.
A comment?
Yeah, of course. So we received a notice from Mount Sweatham CVU about this. And my only question, I mean, what day of the week? I'm in a lucky situation. I have a very flexible job, so having kids at CCS and at CVU, I can make sure I'm home to make sure the kids actually get on the bus in the morning to CVU, and I can be home if they need rides afterwards. A lot of parents don't. So that is one situation that, and Eric, what you said, I got asked by a parent today walking, and that's exactly one question she had. But in the newsletter from CVU, they said that they would be taking out, as you said, the 4 in-service days. They were going to keep the full day parent-teacher conferences. So my question to you guys, and to maybe bring up and discuss, is CVU has parent-teacher conferences, I'm going to use Thanksgiving as a prime week, Monday and Tuesday. However, CCS has those earmarked as in-service days. So my question is how are you going to try and schedule where in-service, or it doesn't really matter where the in-services are versus like where parent-teacher, is that scheduling part, that's not going to be an issue? I'm just concerned that all of a sudden everybody's going to have the same parent-teacher conference days off.
That's a good question. There would be no in-service days.
So those
would come away. The parent-teacher conferences don't land on the same day as CVU, unless they might be on one.
So they'll still stay separate, I guess.
Yes, they'll
so
still stay
Thanksgiving's
separate.
going to be a little different because
Thanksgiving will look
my kids at CVU will have the week off, but my kids at CCS will. If every parent-teacher conference remains the same in the following calendar year, which is in October for CCS and November for CVU. So that's might be raising a little red flag.
Okay, I think we'll hear much more about this. Do I have other questions?
Just the comment that I think it's going to be interesting to see how parents do weigh and measure this, because I think 4 in-service days can be a financial hardship for a lot of families because parents have to take time off from work and stay home with their kids. And I think if they're thinking about exchanging that for an hour a week, I think for some families that's going to feel much more doable. I really do think the current calendar imposes on many families because they have to figure out how they're going to get coverage for those extra days in the school calendar. So it'll be interesting to see how this all sort of sugars out. But and the other question I just had was, do you envision this year as a bit of a trial to see how this goes and how productive this is for everyone involved, for students, for teachers, et cetera, and then reassess at the end of this year to determine if this proposal does pass, if this is going to continue, or do you envision maybe re-examining how the year went and whether you would want to return to the old schedule versus maintaining this new schedule?
I think we always need to reassess at the end to see if something works and not continue doing something if it doesn't work. also, I know that sometimes at the end, you realize what you can do a little differently to improve upon, and not just to give up on something. It's that balance of you just can't say, oh, didn't work, and just move away from it either. So I think we would be holding both of those. But of course, looking at how you would always make it better and improve it on it.
Okay, anything else? More on this next month. Thank you. Moving on, 7.2 policy. I can go through these one by one, or if somebody wants to call one out. Clyde, did you have anything on these? Yeah, they looked pretty.
There was virtually no conversation about these things. Everybody just looked at them. The one that there was conversation about was the weapons policy.
Yeah.
And that's not here because they're going to make some changes. But no one really had anything to say about this, so I'll be interested to hear if any of you have.
I had just one comment on the search. It looked like in our policy we can conduct strip searches, which seems like way over the top, and I'm not even sure it's legal. It was section E
of 4.
If the search requires the student to disrobe, and then it goes into the whole procedure for how you get them to disrobe, but it struck me as odd that we would even have there.
Which section here?
So this was manner of search, number or letter E under.
On page 7.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, and I'm not, so I leave this in the hands of the lawyers on our board, but it looked like from the ACLU board that they said strip searches aren't legal in Vermont, so I don't, in schools.
Well, so that's why this is by third parties, trained third parties. This is, I'm guessing, aimed at if a police officer was involved.
But I think there's a second
There is.
section on police. You know, we have a whole another section of code for police search.
So actually, we can ask Cindy to look into that. Can we ask Cindy to look into that? And we'll get an answer.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, because I think this is under under the school's purview, right? Because it's that reasonable suspicion piece as opposed to
And
probable cause.
Yeah.
Anything with police is probable cause, and this was under the school's reasonable
you're right.
suspicion threshold.
Yeah, we'll have Cindy weigh in next time before it comes around.
So those will be up for a vote next month. We can have a further discussion about that. I'll put a note.
I just want a little clarity. You're going to bring that to Cindy?
Yes.
And she'll address that at the next policy committee meeting?
I'll expect a report. Good. 7.3, the board's corner. I did not get an article in the paper last time. I really meant to. Yeah, I know. But I will put something in this coming. Yeah, is it that soon?
Friday.
Yeah. Oh, this Friday they need something? Yeah, okay. I always buy an extra day. I'm not ready. And I meant to put in a thank you to the community and that sort of thing, but I will write something up and send it around. Unless somebody else would really like to do it. 7.4, post-vote reflection. I'll open this up to the floor. It was nice to have a budget that passed by a couple of votes, I have to say. But thanks, Joe.
Perfect time.
I had that piped in.
Yeah.
Anyone else want to weigh in? What we did right, what we did wrong?
think what we did right was hire Bob Rain.
I second it.
No blushing. Okay. I'm going to kind of move this along. We've got a hard stop at 7 o'clock tonight. Action matters. Affirm code of conduct. We discussed this last meeting. Do I have a motion to affirm the code of conduct, which is on pages 25 and 26 of the packet? This is sort of board governance stuff.
I do not have some of this material.
It's a so it's the code of conduct sort of sets forth governance of the board, how we relate to the administration. It comes up every year this time.
This.
I didn't get
You didn't get the email, okay, so I'll see if he's on the email chain.
Okay.
Yeah, you didn't get it. Oh, you are on the,
Thank you.
they have you at CSSU. Do you even know what your CSSU
No,
email yet?
I only have they were all from Sandy, but I've gone through everything.
Well, that and the guy from Fidelity.
Okay.
But I'll
Yeah.
relook again and see. So, thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion to affirm the code of conduct?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. Moving on, 8.2. We had, I think everybody had seen a request for a tuition waiver. And actually this is the piece I'm missing because I couldn't get it before. It was for 9 months, although that included over the summer. It's a family that lives in Charlotte, has a plot of land in Charlotte, is apparently building and is moving into temporary housing outside of Charlotte with the intention to move back. So I think the school months are 6 and total time out of town is 9 months. Although they still own land in Charlotte and
They don't
will
own
be
the
building.
land yet.
They don't own it.
No,
They don't own it
they're
yet.
not closing on that until after they sell their house, according to the letter.
Right.
Kelly letter.
Right. This is why I need more information.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear. What did it
So they still own a home in Charlotte, and they're closing on the land to build after they sell their home. So they don't actually own the lot they're going to be building on just yet.
But they still own their home.
But they still own their home in the town. So this is all.
But
But they're closing it, I thought it said March, and then
Yes.
a few weeks later buying the land. So
Yeah.
just to clarify, but I do think, it's still, their intention is to be here.
Their intention is to move back. Yes.
So
do they know as of when they will not be resident in Charlotte?
So according to the letter, and again, correct me, they are selling their home soon.
I mean, do they have a closing date for that?
It's
yeah, according
March.
to the letter, yeah.
In the next week or two. And then they're buying their land almost immediately thereafter. We could approve a tuition waiver with the end date. They gave us an end date.
And based on what we read about the policy,
Yeah,
it sounds like it is within, it falls under, acceptable.
yeah, it's the time frame. It's funny, the full time frame is long, but the actual school months is something that we've done before. It's 6 months.
But there's a big if in there. And that is that their house is finished and they're living in it.
Right. Although we've done that before. We've had another family who was building, and
And we also put a date on that.
yes, that's what I was saying.
And I think 6 months is a pretty long date.
To get a house up?
Well, their construction issues are not our concern.
No, I understand. Are you talking 6 months of real time or 6 months of school time?
School time.
Yeah. So that makes total sense. March, April, May, 3 months of summer, and then September, October, November. So, November 30th. And then if they're not done, they have to come back and talk about it.
And I also think the age of the child is worth considering because, they're looking for that consistency and for a kindergartner, that they would like to have the child
Yep.
continue their education at the same school.
So, for me, they're a family who lives in town with the intention to stay in town. They're leaving for a couple months. As long as that time frame stays within what we've been told, I'm perfectly fine with it. So, I would say we approve a tuition waiver request through November 30th of whatever 2016. Do I have a motion?
I'd make that motion.
Good. Do I have a second?
So,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. We have 2 personnel things that were in our materials. Both of them have to do with teaching contract stuff. This is the second technical leave of absence request for Stephanie Sumner from 6th grade position while she performs her job as the second assistant principal at our school. Do I have a motion to approve that leave of absence?
and that runs the
You
entire.
usually make the comment, I'd
school
second
year?
it.
So what it does, it reserves her right, if we were to eliminate that position, say, to go back and teach in her old position, which, given this maneuvering she has under the contract.
So I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Leave of absence.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Second is the partial resignation request. I'm assuming you all read it. This is for, you look pained.
I am pained because I do not have these. I have some of these material. But I don't have this.
Do I have this one? I don't.
This is the one, Colleen Brady.
I don't think I saw that one.
I did.
So, yeah, it came in,
There are a lot of.
yeah, we got like
I
3
got 2 out of
Yeah.
3 separate
Yeah.
covers. I guess I missed the last one.
CSSU has had some email problems. I'll blame it on that. But, do you want to talk to this at all? I think it was pretty straightforward. Colleen,
She had a
This is the same.
leave of absence for a 1.0 FTE position, and she was holding on to that, and then she is choosing to resign 0.7 of that, so then she will work 0.3.
and this all works wonderfully with your plan for the school.
Actually, it fits. It fits. Because otherwise she would bump another teacher.
So do I have a motion to approve the partial resignation request?
So moved.
Do I have a
And I'll
second?
Just to make it easier for Megan, I'll just second it.
Thank you.
Happy face.
Discussion, any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Moving on to the consent agenda. Any need to pull any of this out? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? Come on, you two, you fall down.
Oh, yeah,
So-
sorry. Yeah.
So moved,
Second.
I second.
Do I have, all those in favor?
Wait a second. No, it has no relevance.
Yeah, go for it.
Who's the truant of?
Good question. It is Barbara Ann,
It's Barbara.
principals.
Technically, under the law, we have to have a truant officer, so we have to appoint. Now, how often that's been done, we're not sure. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Director's comments. I can start.
Before we go to that, there's one item that came up about the proposed calendar for next year.
Yeah.
So I know that obviously there'd be changes to the Chittenden South Supervisory Union calendar, depending on what we decide about the early release. And I did notice that in March, we have the Monday and Tuesday proposed as dates off on March 6th and 7th, which usually this Tuesday's a town meeting day. So is that a shift to accommodate town meeting, or is that, so it's, we have the entire, February vacation, the 27th to March 3rd, and then no school Monday, Tuesday. So that's different.
Because that calendar acted on in March is the regional calendar, which leaves schools open to adding students back on those 2 days. And then in the calendar that is being proposed, those 2 days are 2 of the 4 days being added back. So in Chittenden South, which we've always gone on town meeting day, we would also go to school on the Monday. So February break would be just a week.
Okay.
And then they'd go back to school Monday. Yeah.
As they should.
And how will that affect, well, I guess we'll wait until.
Director's comments. I will go around the table. Clay? Nothing? Jeff, you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm happy to be here though.
Happy to have you. Thank you. Susan?
No comments at this time?
Eric?
No, thanks.
I will just say thank you to the community for supporting your school. Thank you to everybody who sits here and comes every month. It's important. And welcome, Jeff.
Thank you.
I'm confirming next meeting dates by saying they're listed here on your agenda. The next regular board meeting for us is April 26th. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you for coming, everybody.